My name is Brandon Raymond. I wanted to make this video to tell a little bit about my story and to tell a little bit about how I started, where I came from, and where I'm at today. And not only that, to kind of tell you guys how I got there and how everything changed for me and my family. So putting into words where to start with that whole thing is kind of a lot. So I'll just put it all out there and hope that you guys can receive it. So a few years back, I was living in Nashville, Tennessee. I was working on a TV show out there, and I was under contract with ABC, so I was stuck there. I was kind of tight on money, trying to go with the grind, do what I could do. I had a daughter in Dallas, so I was traveling back and forth quite a bit. I thought that would be able to lead me to something greater, and so it was worth the risk. I had gotten a call from a good buddy of mine that I knew was really, really smart. I knew he was super techie, and he understood like social media. He understood just the way the internet works and apps and all those things, which I didn't know anything about, obviously. But he called me one day and he said, "Hey Brandon, how are things? How you doing? Yada yada." Just the normal, chit chat that guys do. And then he said, "Well, hey, look, the reason why I want to talk to you was I just linked up with this company and I created an incredible app for them. It's something called a done for you system, which honestly meant nothing to me. And he said, it's going to be huge. You got to get in it." He's like, "You got to check it out. I want to bring you in on the business." And told me a few little things about it. Honestly, it really didn't make much sense. And I knew I trusted him because I knew that he knew what he was talking about, and he was a smart guy. So I knew I trusted him, but I just wasn't in a spot to be able to do that because obviously I lived 700 miles away. So I kind of brushed it off, and I told him, "Hey, when I get back to Dallas, we'll meet up, go out for a beer, and you can tell me more." Well, about eight to 10 months later, I moved back to Dallas and got back into bartending because it was the easy thing to do. I had plenty of experience and it was fast money, and I like that. So I started bartending at random clubs and in restaurants and bars and things like that, and ended up becoming pretty good friends with a guy that a lot of you probably know now, Miles Stallard. Him and I were slinging drinks at one of the hottest clubs in Dallas, downtown, and his girlfriend at the time, actually I think they just started dating. Her name was Heidi Holmes. Now it's Stallard. They're now married. Fast forward a couple years, they are one of the leading forces in this business, and they came from bartending. So let me get kind of back on track. So Miles was going to come over one day. We were both off, and I think Heidi was working that day, and so they were supposed to come over to the house, and I was making a bunch of food, and we were going to hang out by the pool and have some beers and things like that. And he calls me up, and I thought he was going to say he was late because he always was, but he calls me up and he says, "Hey, so here's the deal. I'm super stoked. I'm really excited about I just jumped on with this business, and I'm not gonna be able to make it because I got some work to do." And I was like, no, you're coming over. All this meat is marinated. I just went to the store, bought like 2 30-packs, like you're coming over. And he said, "I'm sorry, bro, I really can't, I got to get on this business over else." I'm like, "What business is it? What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, it's called Kyani. It's a network marketing company." I'm like, "Bro, no, you didn't. I'm like, really? I'm like, dude, I tried World Ventures. I mean, I know people in all these network marketing companies that are like, woohoo, go team, passionate, and they have nothing to show for it. I'm like, bro, you didn't. Like, what? How much did you waste? He's like, it's not important. I'm super stoked. I'm super excited. I got to get this going. He's like, you know what? You got to hear about it. And I was like, I got to hear about this? I'm like, okay. I'm like, why don't you come over here and pitch me? I was like, come over here anyways. You pitch me. Let me critique you because I'm going to give it to you. And so I think he kind of bit myself in the butt on that one, because I think he took that as a moment. It's like, yeah, I'm going to get this guy, you know. So he comes over, and I'm still getting the meat ready and everything else. He comes over, hand him a beer, and we're talking, and I was like, okay, so what are you talking about? Like, what is this? You know what I mean? He's like, well, here, I brought my laptop. Let me hook this up and show it on your TV and give me an HDMI cord and all this stuff. I'm like, wait, what? Like, I'm like, no, just pitch me. Tell me what it is. He's like, I can't. I got to show you. I'm like, all right, show me. So he pulls up the presentation. Now it's evolved quite a bit since then. We've got new products and, you know, new wordage and verbiage and everything else. And now we've added like 100 awards onto it now. So this is back in the day, you know, about a year or two after it got really launched in the United States. So he's going through this, and, you know, the Taylors and the Hansons and Idaho Potatoes and Phillips 66 and yada, yada, yada. And then met this guy named Scott Bolsch, and this guy created this awesome app. And I'm like, hold on. Pause. I'm like, Scott Bolsch. I'm like, okay. I'm like, this Scott Bolsch? He's like, yeah. I was like, and that's when the light bulb went off. So I'm like, oh man, that's my buddy that called me a year and a half ago about this random company that he just got with that started this, that started that, and it's going to be huge and blah, blah, blah. And now my buddy, no connection unless he knows Kevin Bacon. If you get that pun, then that's funny. So I call him up and I'm like, Scott. He's like, hey, what's up, man? How are you? Blah, blah, long time no talk. Yeah. So I was like, hey, that company that you told me about last year, was that Kyani by chance? He's like, yeah, why? And I'm like, all right. Well, one of my good buddies is over here right now, and he's trying to pitch me on this, and I mean, everything sounds pretty good, but, you know, he's like, Brandon, look. He's like, first of all, you're an idiot. And I was like, thank you, you're sweet. He's like, because when I called you a year and a half ago, if you would have taken my word for it and trusted me enough to get in this business, you'd be a millionaire right now. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I get it. I'm stupid. Cool. And so he's like, if you don't sign up with him, you're dumb, because now it's been brought to your attention twice. And both of the times it's been from people that you trust. So you got to do it. So I was dating a girl at the time. She, I think, was out with her mom shopping or something or other. And her mom is actually like crazy negative about everything, super skeptical. And the girl I was dating kind of was too. So I'm thinking, all right, well, wait around till they get back. And if you can close them, then I'll get in. So they get home and he redoes it all. And it was kind of funny because seeing Miles now and seeing how far he's come, and remembering when before they got there and he was pitching me, all the times that he was stuttering and getting tripped up on the presentation and things like that, because it was so new to him. I mean, all he had was just fire. You know, he had just fire for it. So watching all that happen and everything else was super cool. But anyways, so he does the pitch again and the presentation and everything else. And surprisingly enough, my girlfriend at the time, her mom and her were both like, yeah, it sounds great, yada, yada, yada. So, and I was like, well, I mean, you want to do it? And, you know, to her, I mean, I was already going to try to do it, but I was just wanted to be like, okay, if you can get them, because they're kind of, if you can get them, you're good. So she's like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, all right. So I signed up, and then I signed her up under me as my first leg. And then her mom was like, well, if you guys start making money and blah blah blah, then I'll check it out, kind of thing. But she's a real introvert, so I don't really know how that was going to work, but I just trusted it. My buddy Miles is on fire. I knew the mastermind behind the app, so I was like, okay, cool. So let's do it. So I signed up somebody like my first or second week on my second leg, and then pretty much a bombshell hit, and just like that, my relationship ended. I was consumed with depression. Went down a little bit of a dark road for a little while. So I unfortunately I put Kyani on the back burner and started really focusing on myself, and I dug into my men's group at church and things like that, and kind of slowly but surely healed and pulled myself out of everything. So a while later, when I was back to normal and I felt good again, and this is a different time now, but I met an amazing woman, and I had a great job, and family life was good, and my daughter was amazing. She's always been amazing, but she was doing really good too. I decided that I wanted something a little bit more, and for some reason, everywhere I turned, Kyani was just being shoved down my throat. Whether it's seeing Miles and Heidi's posts. Now they're married, by the way. Congrats. It was a beautiful wedding. I was there too. I think I actually sang a song to them at their wedding. Hopefully not before the fireball shots, because I think that would have changed my performance a little bit, but I hope it was all right. But yeah, so I went to an international leadership convention or academy in Orlando, and I met a gentleman by the name of Brad Parkhill. And Brad Parkhill is just one of those just good old boys, amazing, kind, redneck kind of guy, the kind that you just, want to go out and have beers with, and the kind you just want to, call just to call and see how he's doing and everything else. Some of you might know him, some of you might not, but if you don't know Brad Parkhill, is definitely a guy you need to reach out to. He's an amazing guy and a huge leader. I ended up being sat next to, I met him, and I ended up being seated next to his mom and his parents. And so during the convention, I got to know them real well and everything else. So she was really sweetheart. And so fast forward, this is a few months back. Like I said, everywhere I turned, it was just Kyani, and I noticed that I wasn't making as much money as I felt I was worth. I had some really bad luck that year with an amazing company that I joined up with and worked my butt off, long, hard hours, and gave all my blood, sweat, and tears to. Literally almost lost my relationship to, just because of the lack of time I had to spend with my girlfriend and my family. So that came to an abrupt halt when that company filed for bankruptcy 3 months after grand opening. So I worked there probably 7-8 months, something like that. And then I couldn't really bounce back quick enough, and I knew that I needed to make more money. Not only make more money, but I wanted to make more money and have the time to, pretty much just have more time to spend with my girlfriend and my daughter and my family. And, when you work in my line of work, which is restaurants and food and beverage and bars and things like that, especially when you're managing them and running them and building them, you work your nights, you work your weekends, you work your holidays, and the hours you're working, all your other, friends and family aren't. So the older my daughter got, and the more I advanced in that type of business, I started to realize what was important. And what was important to me wasn't just the money anymore. What was important to me was memories and spending time with my family and you know, growing as a better boyfriend and father, and being there for those moments that later on down the road you're going to wish you were. Things change, they evolve. You know, your wants, your needs, your desires, they're continuously changing. So we went out on a date. I called my then fiance, and I said, "Hey, babe, you know, I think let's go out on a date. Let's go out and let's talk. Let's have a date. Let's have some us time." Because, you know, with work and everything else, super crazy and busy. And so there's this really cool little cigar lounge right by my house, or right by our house. And I was like, "Hey, let's go get a cigar. I like cigars, and I like, you know, a glass of scotch or bourbon here and there." So she's like, "Okay, yeah." So I think we met up at a Cajun place, and we had a crap ton of Cajun food, which is kind of our thing. We love Cajun food. And then so we were going to an escape room. That's right. It was an escape room. But then we were having such a good time just talking and just kind of just like enjoying each other's company. We're like, you know, let's save that for another day and let's just go hang out somewhere. So we went to the cigar lounge, and we pulled up. And when we pulled up, I saw a truck in the parking lot that said Kyani on it. I'm like, "That's interesting." I was like, "Kyani again," but I didn't recognize the truck. See, certain leaders in this company, you'll recognize their cars. Whether you're involved a lot, in whether you're like seriously involved in the business or not, or you're just kind of on the outside, or even a customer, you just tend to see these people around, you know. So we went in, and I saw a guy on a phone smoking a cigar from behind, and he had a Kyani bag on the coffee table. And me and my girlfriend, me and my fiance, we sat down and ordered a drink, and went and picked out a cigar. And when I came back down, I was like, "Hey, so you're with Kyani?" And he turned around and he's like, "Yes, I am." And I was like, "What's your name?" He's like, "Brad Parkhill." And I was like, "Oh yeah." Cause then I recognized him. He had a ball cap on, you know. So I told you, good old boy. And so he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Brad." I'm like, "Brad." He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "I know you." He's like, "Yeah, you look familiar." I was like, "Yeah, I know your mom." And he's like, "Bro, like, that's not how you start a conversation." Which at that time I didn't think of how it came off, but we laugh about it now. It's just kind of weird, like, "You know my mom." Like, "What, bro? Like, who are you?" But so I was like, "Hey, come sit with us. Let's talk." So you know, we talked for 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe a long while. I think we closed that place down. And just everything just spoke to me that night. You know, this is it. This is what I need to do. This is what I need to focus on, you know, and I'm still thinking about money. Okay. I'm still thinking about profits. I'm still thinking about all the money that I see people make that I want to make. Right. So the very next day I called Miles. And I was like, "Hey, bro, I want to get back in." And to be totally honest with you, I've told him that about 2 or 3 times in the past, and I did nothing with it. So I wasn't sure if he was going to believe me or give me the time of day or trust that I was serious. But this time I was. And thankfully, he was right there to you know, guide me a little bit. Said, "All right, well, first we got to call corporate. We got to get your auto ship turned back on. We got to do this. We got to do that." Like, perfect. Let's do it. So okay. So that was March. Since from my little sabbatical, we can call it, from when I first joined Kyani until March, I ended up having probably, like, I want to say close to 400 people under me in Kyani. And I had no idea about it. Because when I left, the people that I signed up and the people that signed up under my girlfriend at the time, they kept going. And it really spoke to me when I realized that, you know, these people, like, if you bring in, you know, whether it's a business partner or a customer, if you bring in just a few people, it's like you're throwing a rock into a lake. It's just going to ripple effect out. And so that being done the way it happened just blew me away. But that goes to show that this company has so many opportunities, and there's so many different ways that the team atmosphere benefits everyone. Now, granted, my second leg was 0 because I didn't do anything. So since then, I now have my whole entire family involved in the business. I have some very close friends that I consider family involved in the business. And this journey, just in the past, 5 months, has been such an incredible eye-opener for me. Completely changed my idea of this business, of this company. The people that are involved in my team, our team, your team, and from the owners and leaders all the way down to the people that just signed up yesterday or will sign up today, or even the customers that are just, hoping and praying that this might do something for them, just a little bit. I've seen a lot of testimonials. I've seen a lot of customers and business partners that have these amazing, extravagant stories about how it changed this person's life, how it helped heal them, how it helped get them pain-free, all this other stuff. Now, keep in mind, this product does not cure you of any certain ailment this way or that way. It's not a medical, pharmaceutical type of thing. What this does for people is, or dogs or whatever, but what this does for you is it gives your body every single nutrient, vitamin, mineral, and pretty much enzyme that you need, that you never get because the world just fills you with crap all day because we're in a hurry and we're lazy, to tell you the truth. And it gives you every single thing for your body to be able to function at its maximum potential. Now, that could be whether you're 2 years old or you're 80 years old. It's never too late to start giving your body what it needs. It helps with muscle pain. It helps with, chronic headaches, arthritis, blood pressure issues, cardiovascular issues, joints, bones, depression, attention deficit disorder, like all sorts of things. It helps maximize your body to be able to pretty much put a lot of those symptoms and issues way in the back of the classroom kind of thing, if that makes any sense. So let me kind of explain why my why changed a lot. So I went from getting in this company to earn, to beat my now wife in income, because as a man, I'd like to make more, but unfortunately she's really good at what she does and she makes more than I do. So, not that I'm not okay with that, but I want to be able to be a bigger part of the team, So that was my original why. So, like I said, my whole family's in it now. My in-laws are in it now. Still working on my dad, but I'll get him. He's pretty healthy, so he doesn't really think he needs it, but I can tell you right now there's a lot of things he needs it for that he just doesn't need it, that he doesn't realize yet. So I'll work on that. I'll get back to you on the next video, see where I'm at with that one. So let's start with my mom. My mother has had a disc fusion, I think, on 3 discs in her back. She pretty much has a broken neck. She struggles with diabetes and blood pressure issues, energy, joint pain, sleep, all these kind of things. Those little pill bottles, they're like rectangles, have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, it had all that with about 10-ish pills in each of those little containers. So she was always drugged up. I'm a firm believer that a lot of that stuff led to some of her, spells of depression and things like that. I know pharmaceutical pills are definitely proven to change a lot of those, just the makeup of your chemicals, the way your body feels, things like that. But keep in mind, pharmaceutical pills don't really cure much. They put a Band-Aid on things. So surgeries and nutrition and things like that really get to the core issues. And anybody that really knows anything about what I'm talking about with nutrition and health and wellness, you know that 80% of everything that goes wrong in your body stirs or drives like directly from nutrition. If our bodies had every single thing that we need inside of them, I don't believe we would have cancer. I think we would have cancer from like smokers or just random skin cancers or things like that. That's a whole nother conversation we can have about cancer, just not today. I'm kind of ADD a little bit myself and I go this way and that way. But my mom has been taking the product almost instantly, actually. 2 to 3 weeks into it, she noticed that she's sleeping great, that her knees don't hurt, her back doesn't hurt, her neck doesn't hurt. She's resting and she has more energy. So she decided, well, I'm going to start weaning myself off of these pills. And now my mom takes maybe 1 pill a day just because she's still slowly weaning herself off all of them. She sleeps great. She has energy throughout the day. I don't think I've had one depressed call from her. Pain-free. It even helped with her allergies, which is crazy. I didn't even know that was one of the positives. But she says that she doesn't take allergy pills anymore. And San Diego air is a little bit different than Texas, but we face different battles here. But yeah, so my mom, I mean, she lives in a retirement community, and she was on the board of trustees or whatever it is in her community. She now has a lot of people taking it on a customer basis. Obviously, when you're retired, you really, you might not have a lot of time to just go out there and get it. So ordering it from the phone's pretty easy, and the app and whatnot. So she's making a big impact out there, and she's living her healthiest self right now, and that's amazing to me. Secondly, my wife and I, we don't really sleep very well. We toss and turn a lot. I'm honestly pretty lazy. If I could get 10 hours sleep a day, I would. But I sleep like a rock now. I wake up, I'm rested. I don't think I've had an energy drink since I started taking Kyani again. I'm not fatigued. I don't really get that 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock lull to where I'm looking for a Red Bull or an espresso or whatever else. I lie. I still do a coffee or an espresso here and there, but I kind of like the taste of those iced ones. But yeah, so as far as our sleep, she had a lot of pains with her feet. She had something, I forget what it's called now, and it kind of makes me feel like a horrible husband, but she had something wrong with her feet. And I remember one day I gave her a massage, and I was like, a deep tissue massage. I'm like, oh baby, I can help, I'm the husband. And I actually made it worse. And she ended up at the doctor or the hospital or doctor or whatever the next day, and they said, oh yeah, you shouldn't have done that. So but yeah, so us, it was a huge difference in energy and things like that. And also with weight loss and collagen and all sorts of amazing things that I'm not going to get into what's in the products right now. I just want to explain my personal experience with what the products have done for me and my loved ones. So I can attest to other things you'll see on the apps or the videos about what is done for other people if I haven't seen it myself. So this is just coming from my own eyes as a skeptic. One of the third biggest things for me was my mother-in-law. She works in real estate, and she shows a lot of homes. She's up and down stairs. She has some issues with her knees. I believe something like there's not a lot of cartilage, so like bone on bone kind of thing. So it gets painful. Honestly, it gets super sore and painful. And I remember she was on the product for almost a month, and she called me one day. We had a conversation. She's like, hey, babe. I was like, hey, mom, blah, blah, blah. And she told me that she noticed that she went up the stairs like almost 10 times in a day, and she felt nothing. And she felt good. And not only good, she felt energized. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome, because that's more proof for me that what we're doing is right. Or what we're doing is the right thing to do. You want to believe in what you do. If you don't believe in it, don't do it. I'll just tell you that right now. So if you don't believe in this company, please don't do it. Please don't do it, because the people that do, we really just don't need. You don't need that in your life, I guess. So my whole point is, make sure you believe in your product. So anyways, when my brother-in-law, when I met him, my brother-in-law, he was always a really nice guy. You know, he was athletic. He played baseball growing up and in school and things like that. And then he went into the Army, and his Army career came to an abrupt halt when he found out that he had some kind of necrosis, which means that the blood flow doesn't reach his muscle or his joints and his bones. So when that happens, obviously the lack of, you know, nutrition, the lack of oxygen, all that other things that happen that get carried along your bloodstream, it doesn't get what it needs. So in turn, they start to deteriorate and literally almost dissolve, right? So that leads to very brittle and fragile bones, and a lot of pain. He's had two hip replacements. I believe he had another surgery. I'm not remembering quite yet right now. I'm not remembering right now what it is. So I'm not just going to make something up. But he had the disease in both of his knees. He had it in both of his ankles, and I believe his shoulders, I think, because he wasn't able to lift his arm like past like 90 degrees kind of thing, right? And he had no full rotation in his arm. And it really stuck out for me on one holiday. We were at his house, and his nephew and I were playing catch in the backyard. And Jeff wanted to come out and play catch, and he was throwing the ball a few times, and it got to be to where he was in so much pain he had to stop. And I know that really kind of hit him hard, and I witnessed it, so it kind of you know, made me drop a lip to it too. But we would go out and, you know, have some fun, and, you know, we love country music, and him and his wife would, you know, love to two-step. You know, she's a little itty bitty thing, just smiles for days, and they love the country to two-step, and watching them is super cool anyways. But I remember he was dancing for maybe a song, and then the next day we were all supposed to meet up for dinner, and we called, and he didn't answer the phone, so I called his wife, and she pretty much said that he was in bed. He didn't go to work today, and he can't walk pretty much because he was in so much pain. He actually had a permanent prosthetic ankle brace that he had to wear, like a boot, all the time, that kept his ankle and his foot from moving too much. And sometimes I saw him, he was in a sling. He was on medicine. He was on one of those little scooters where you put your knee up and you kind of pedal, just to help. And one thing that my mother-in-law was always told me was that, you know, I'm praying for a miracle for you, babe. I'm praying for a miracle for you. Just because that's probably the hardest things to see, is to see your baby falling apart and not knowing, you know, where that disease is going to stop, you know, not knowing, you know, what your life is going to be like with this issue and with this disease, and having to watch it helplessly. And, you know, I love the guy, but I didn't grow up with him my entire life. And, you know, just my amount of compassion that I felt for him alone, not even compared to all his brothers, sisters, moms, dads, you know, all that, was rough. And we, my wife and I, you know, thought, you know, we need to get him on the products. We just need to get him on the products. So we got him on the products, and about 30 days into it, he started to feel a little bit better. So he got another month's supply. This is way before he was a business partner. He got another month's supply, and within 2-3 weeks, he called me. We were talking. He's like, "Hey, bro, guess what?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I don't wear my ankle brace anymore." I'm like, "That's awesome." I'm like, "But how you feeling? Like, are you tore up? Are you in pain? Like, whatever. You know, did you get better drugs?" He's like, "No, actually, I'm not taking my drugs actually, and I'm not in pain." And as a matter of fact, I have full rotation in my shoulder. And I'm like, and it dawned on me right then. I'm like, dang, dude, like, it's really working. Like, it's really working for you. And not like little things that you see people talk about. Like, this is big, you know? And so, I mean, it's just been, you know, thing after thing after thing after thing with this guy. And then now he hasn't worn his brace since his 6th week on the product. He doesn't have any pain. He has full rotation. He can swim. He can dance the night away. He can, you know, he can work out. He can throw a baseball and all these things. And it dawned on me one day that God used me to offer him the miracle that his mom's been praying for through Kyani, and give him a better life and allow his wife not to worry helplessly so much, and his mom and his dad and his sister and me. And at that moment, I realized that what this business has is special. It's special in a way that's not like any other business. It's special because the significance and the rewards and the miracles that you can bring to people is at a whole nother level that has nothing to do with money. So when people ask what my why is, it's changed. It's not about the money. I honestly could care less about the money, because me taking the chance and the risk to say yes to something that I knew nothing about, but I was willing to try. And even when I got beat down, I still came back and tried harder. John C. Maxwell says is nobody cares how much you know till they know how much you care. That is so true. You can't convince people to believe in Kyani, but you can convince people how much you believe in Kyani. And if you can do that, and they can see the passion and the love and integrity and the compassion in your eyes and your heart, then they'll follow you anywhere. And a true leader will always be able to portray that image. And where I'm at now and where I was on that day when I wasn't sure, but I said yes anyways, it's a completely different person. I'm now the leader of a team. I have the stories to back it. I will be diamond very soon, especially since I focused on my mindset, and I've done a lot of self-improvements and been reading a lot and things like that, and really just dug myself into the knowledge of leadership, honestly. And when that happens, it's all going to be because of these amazing people that I'm in business with, and everybody that I had the pleasure of getting to know that has taught me so much, and my family, you know, the people that love and support you. You know, when you start doing things for the right reason, people start to follow. It's kind of crazy how that works. I would say there's a science to it, but there's no science. I think that's just the way we are as humans. I think that's how our souls work. I think the laws of attraction and all those things kind of coexist. So that's pretty much my story. That's why I love this business. That's why I love this company. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to actually interview my brother-in-law, Jeff. I want you guys to hear it from his mouth, because the impact that he's made, or the impact he's made on my life, just blows me away. And being able to see it firsthand is a true blessing. And when someone asks me what my why is, I always tell them my why is to do God's work on earth and to be able to provide the miracles that Kyani can offer. And that's my why, to change as many people's lives as possible. And if I can do that, I truly believe that God will bless me with all the finances that I need and the money to be able to give back to my communities, to be able to build those wells, to be able to help the homeless people, to be able to help homeless vets, kids in broken homes. It starts with just one person saying yes, guys, just one. And if you can muster up enough courage to do that, and then go jump into the unknown, you take a leap off that cliff. It could be 2 feet or 2 miles, but you won't know till you jump. And even if you hit the ground, you're exactly where you are now. So I'm gonna interview Jeff, and then I'll post it later. You guys have a good one. Thanks a lot. Love y'all. I was made for this.